Okay, so let's get started. So just to introduce ourselves today, my name is Struan Bates, and I'm a consultant working at CEC, leading on the development of training materials and other supporting materials at CEC, basically working on the rollout of Compass Plus across the country for the past few years, leading on webinars, in-person training events, and also directing all our online and on-demand resources. Also with me today from CEC is Costas. I'll let Costas introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Costas. I'm the customer onboarding manager at CEC. So my role is to support users with upgrade to Compass Plus, and then along with Struan, getting the most out of the product once you've upgraded.
Okay, thank you, Costas. We're also excited today to have along from Cascade to talk about Xello. We have Ella and George. Ella, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, will do. Thanks, Struan. Hi, everybody. I'm Ella Bujoc, Managing Director at Cascade and Xello UK. We're a careers information and software provider that have served the education community for quite a number of years now. We launched Xello, our flagship product, back in 2019, and since then we've seen many of our customers switch across and lots of new customers join us. And really excited today to talk to you about how Xello and Compass Plus can work together, and also just join the conversation. So thanks for having us, Struan, and the team, and looking forward to this session. Over to George to introduce.
Thanks, Ella. And hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is George, and I look after the marketing for Cascade and for Xello UK.
Thanks, George. And we're also really privileged to have along today with us Andy Hara from Maidenhill School, who's a careers lead there. Andy, do you want to just say a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Andy Hara. I'm an assistant head at Maidenhill School in Gloucestershire. Part of my responsibility is oversight of careers development within the school, student welfare and guidance. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. So we've got a great team here together who I think by the end of the session today, you're going to have a thorough understanding of how both products work together. We'll also obviously leave enough time at the end of the session to answer your questions. As I said at the beginning, we are recording the webinar today, so it will be sent to you afterwards. So don't worry about making notes and getting everything down. We'll also be able to catch up later if need be. What we will say is if you do have questions as you go along, because we're going to manage those in the section towards the end of the webinar, if you can pop those questions as they occur into the Q&A box of Zoom or into the chat, and then, as I say, we'll leave time at the end and we'll pick those up then and try and answer those for you. Okay, so let's move on. So just to run through what we're going to cover today, so we have a couple of learning outcomes. Then we have a short poll, really just a couple of questions for you. So we understand who's actually on the webinar today in terms of your role, and to give us a little bit of an impression of how and if you're already using both product the next 50 minutes or so to you. I'll then talk a bit more about how to use the products together with Ella. We'll go into a bit more detail about the recommended way that you should go about using Compass Plus and Xello together. And we'll also cover some of the technicalities in brief about how you go about exporting and uploading data. We've also then got a short video which explains that process, and you'll see that video of Xello and Compass Plus working together. Then we'll move on to Andy's section. So as we said earlier, Ella will lead a short conversation with Andy. So Andy will talk about his experience of using Compass Plus and Xello together. Then we'll move on to the questions. As I say, pop them in the Q&A box or in the chat, and we'll pick them up later. And then finally, we just have a couple of slides about where to find more support from the Compass Plus side, but also from the Xello side. Okay, so let's move on. So what we'd like you to go away with understanding today by the end of the session is to understand a little bit more how to use Compass Plus and Xello together, and particularly the benefits for your institutions from doing so. Okay, All schools are different. All schools' careers programs are planned in different ways. You all have your priorities. I think what we want to achieve by the end of today is you going away with thinking, okay, I understand how both tools work, how both tools work together, and I can understand how they're going to support the individual objectives that my school has. And secondly, obviously we can't cover absolutely everything today, but we want you to go away with some more confidence about using the products together. And if there are questions you still have after the session, we want you to go away with understanding about where to come back and find help and support. So obviously, Compass Plus, Xello, 2 careers platforms. What we just wanted to do before we talked about or conveying some of the applied knowledge about how you get into using the products together, we thought it'd be useful just to start off by looking at the products side by side, really setting out what are the similarities and differences, especially for those of you, we had quite a significant percentage of you there who are using Compass Plus, but thinking about using Xello with Compass Plus, useful for you to understand the differences between the 2 products. So Ella, do you want to just say a few words about Xello's unique benefits?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Struan. So as Struan said, we wanted to outline the differences really, just to help articulate how they can both work in tandem together. And hopefully Andy will be talking a little bit to that as well later practically. But really, the reason we built Xello is to truly solve the problem of engaging students with their career development. And we take a student-first, research-led approach to all of the elements of the product that we build. So we design experiences that we hope truly do engage students, and it allows them and affords them, the need to want to interact with it. And we believe that if we can do that, and if they want to come back and use the product repeatedly, then there will be a value exchange, and ultimately they will learn, which will improve the outcomes of those students. So we very much focus on the student side. Xello is a program that supports year 7 all the way up to year 13 with age appropriate activities and lessons, and it helps them understand who they are and develop plans for future success. There's a ton of content in there. There's a ton of different features, and you'll see on the slide in front of you just some of those. But I guess on the educator side of things, it does, of course, also allow you to track progress towards the benchmarks. So there is a specific report in there that helps you gather all of the data that students are inputting into the platform and help you measure your progress towards those benchmarks. In addition to the kind of product, we have a service that sits alongside it. So those of you online today who are existing customers will know we have a support team, a support website, lots of training and webinars that go on around the platform to help you use it. And we have a technical integration program where we can link up with your MIS platform and also roll out single sign-on with perhaps G Suite or Microsoft, depending on which platform you're using in the school, to make kind of remembering logins a thing of the past. So I would say that the key difference between the 2 platforms from our perspective certainly is we're very much student-led, student-centered, but of course we do support you as careers leaders and other educators in the school with the reporting side. Over to you, Struan.
Brilliant, thank you, Ella. So just to set out then the differences and the similarities between Xello and Compass Plus. So Compass Plus, and I think for those of you who may have upgraded from Compass Classic, the older version of Compass, as we call it now, we call it the older version Classic. Those of you who are coming to Compass Plus new as well, I think one of the key differences is that to realise that Compass Plus is a data-driven platform. So pupil data is at the heart of Compass Plus. It takes a feed from your MIS system, so your SIMS, your Bromcom, Arbor, whatever it is. But the crucial thing, I think, as Ella alluded to, the crucial difference between the products is that Compass Plus is a careers leader-centered platform. So students aren't provided with logins for Compass Plus. It's often a question that comes up in the Q&A section, can students get access to it? Well, the answer is no, because it's not been developed for that purpose. So it's been developed at a high level to take those data streams and to build up those data feeds and that data intelligence for you as careers leaders to use in managing your careers programs. And key to that, and key to the data design of Compass Plus, is that it's built around assessing your institution's provision against the Gatsby benchmarks. So those of you who have logged in and using the product already, you obviously understand this, but you can see from that image to the right of the screen there, image there of the Compass Plus dashboard, there's lots of charts in there, data visualizations. They help you identify gaps, provide that data intelligence at a high level, so you can identify where you have gaps in provision, so you can see where you need to improve on particular benchmarks, and also plan with the individual requirements, the individual targets of your school in mind. Once those activities are in there, you have an individual profile for pupils, and we'll talk a little bit more in a minute about how those profiles will build up within Compass Plus, but also with the data that Xello provides. And you can also, as you move through pupils' careers, build up their interests and destinations in order to provide, again, another data source, another piece of data intelligence that you can use when planning your overall careers provision. Compass Plus also has a wealth of tools to support your interaction with employers. So this is an area that we get asked about quite often in QA sessions that Compass Plus users might not have even started using yet because of the wealth of tools in there. But there are a number of tools in there to enable you to support those local, the work of those local employers, local partners who help you come and deliver, who you might come in to deliver careers activities, or who might manage your delivery in different ways. And also, just to cover off that bottom bullet point there, and say, as a data-driven tool, it's been designed to track those data streams and produce those on-demand reports when you want them. So this is another real key benefit of Compass Plus, and that it can provide that snapshot view of where your careers program is at any time against Gatsby benchmarks and also against other kinds of measures. So you can provide reports to members of your SLT, Ofsted, governors, for instance. They can be provided in CSV format, PDF format. So just to summarize then, I think the key difference is that Compass Plus also a secondary school focused product, year 7 and above, but very much careers leader focused. Students don't get logins. Obviously, Ella set out the key difference there at the beginning for Xello, where Xello obviously a much more student-centered program. Okay, so let's move on to thinking a little bit about how we might go about using both products together. So there's a general principle, I think, that we recommend is applied. And really that's when you're using Compass Plus, the best way to get the best from Compass Plus in terms of using those data streams to really provide you with good data intelligence is that you use Compass Plus to strategically direct your provision and review performance. And that should be an iterative process. Those of you who have discovered how you can use some of them, the predictive tools within Compass Plus to see how you're tracking against your objectives will have discovered that already. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail later. But as I say, that's something you can do we recommend that you do every half term when you're planning and strategically directing your provision. And then in terms of Xello, we recommend that if you're using Xello as a primary platform to delivering your careers activities, that you use Xello tactically to support your particular the individual objectives that you've set for your school at the start of the year. And by uploading that data, planning with your work for Xello within Xello in mind, and uploading that data repeatedly, you can create this, as we've kind of implied on screen there, you can create this sort of cyclical process where you're uploading the data, reviewing against performance. Okay, so you're constantly assessing your overall strategy with the tactical work that you're doing within Xello. So let's break that down in a little bit more detail. How do we go about doing that? So we recommend a high level, a 3-step process. And the first step of that process should be that you plan ahead in Compass Plus and also configure your Xello careers curriculum as part of that planning progress. So I'm just going to zip back. And then secondly, you manage your activities across the year in Xello. We'll come on to this in a second. And then finally, when you've done that, you're checking your progress every half term. And by doing that, as I say, you create this iterative process where you're able to assess where you are in achieving the Gatsby benchmarks and the wider strategy for your school. So how do we go about planning in Compass Plus? So those of you who have already created a plan, or at least have already created taken a Compass evaluation, and really that's a key recommendation that we'd make. If you haven't taken a Compass evaluation and you're new to Compass Plus, or you've taken a Compass evaluation but haven't taken one for at least half term or more, that you take a Compass evaluation, because only by doing that will you be constantly updating your Compass Plus dashboard with that key data stream which shows you your progress against the Gatsby benchmarks. So on the left of the screen there, we say start off by reviewing your Compass evaluation results in Compass Plus. And you can see there, you can easily click through to a breakdown of your progress towards the benchmark. So for this example here, we have benchmark 3, 63%. And we can see below which of the sub-benchmarks are in progress and which ones we haven't met yet. So you can see the ones with the green tick there. I hope you can see the cursor. We've met those. They are contributing to our benchmark score. But the ones with the black X there, that's showing us that as careers leaders, we need to focus in on those and think about creating activities, possibly in Xello, that will help us achieve those benchmarks. So that's what we recommend to do in terms of drilling down into your most recent evaluation results. What we also suggest, and this is very new, so some of you might not have even seen this yet, we have another tool within Compass Plus called the Future Skills Questionnaire. And that's the first, we believe, the first questionnaire, first countrywide questionnaire that allows careers leaders to ask pupils about their own experiences of the careers education that they're receiving. So there's not enough time to go into this now, but what I will say is have a look at the Future Skills Questionnaire, because you can see there the wealth of the data intelligence that provides. It can also help you plan and steer your careers programs. So you've taken evaluation, you can see where there are gaps, but you can also see what the students think. And that's a really powerful tool in Compass Plus. So we'd recommend those two key things, especially at the beginning of the year, to think about how you might go and direct your planning for the rest of the year. So you've done some planning, you're thinking about the next year's plan, for instance. What we would direct you to do is you don't have to create your plan at the beginning of the year from scratch. You can copy it all across from the previous year in Compass Plus. So what you do is you go, as on the left of the screen here, you go into the plan section, you click on the icon, copy activities for next year's plan, and you can copy those activities across. You can then obviously start editing them, adding different pupil groups if need be, taking activities that you know aren't going to run. But also at that point, you're going to want, if you're using Xello, to plan to think about how you're going to plan for the rest of the year in Xello and configure the features in order you can provide those those tactical activities. Ella, do you just want to say a little bit more about the process that a careers leader might go through in terms of planning to use Xello activities for the year?
Yes, happy to. So I mentioned earlier, we have a support site. There's a wealth of resources on there for our Xello customers to use, which help guide you through how to get the most out of the product. I would say lean on your customer success manager as well at the end and start of the year to plan in activities for the whole of the academic year, so that you've got that across all the different year groups. Certainly configure the lessons that are in the educator tool for the right age. Set your own custom assignments. I appreciate I'm talking about very specific features that perhaps not everybody is as familiar with, but those that do have the product should be at least some familiarity here. So configure all of that as early as you can. We recommend to try and do it in your end of year review call with your success manager ahead of the start of the next academic year if you can. I appreciate that's not always possible. And then discuss that annual plan with your success manager throughout the year as well, and let them know what support you need from us in order to achieve it all.
Brilliant, thanks, Ella. So once you've been through that process and planning within Xello, you can start to further build up your plan for this academic year in Compass Plus. And then, as I alluded to earlier, on the right of the screen here, a really powerful feature of Compass Plus is that you can use the second drop down here above the benchmark progress. Remember, the benchmark progress shows you your progress and shows you your scores when you last completed an evaluation. Okay, so if you haven't completed one for a while, it's going to be a bit out of date. So that's why we stress the importance of regularly taking Compass evaluations. I said there were predictive tools in Compass Plus. This second drop down here allows you to see, once you've started your planning, what the likely impact is going to be on your Compass, on your Gatsby benchmark results the next time you complete an evaluation. So that's a really powerful tool, allowing you to plan ahead and think, okay, I've set aside these resources to plan these activities. Here are the activities you've actually gone ahead and planned. They're mapped against these benchmarks. A member of your SRT might come to you and say, okay, I can see you've planned all these activities. Where are we going to be at the end of this half term? Where are we going to be at the end of the year? Okay, and using the second drop down here allows you to see what is the likely impact of those planned or completed planned activities if they're in the future, or completed activities if you completed them and not recently taken an evaluation result in the future. Okay, so we draw your attention to that as a useful tool. And then as you move through the year, we would recommend that you continue to refine your careers plan. Obviously, you're using that predictive tool there at the top of the data visualization to see how you're going, and then you can refer back to your plan, and obviously looking inside your Xello platform as well, to see where there might be opportunities. If you're not achieving particular your scores aren't predicted to be as high as you thought on the particular benchmark, then you can obviously use the tools within Compass Plus and Xello to think about how you might go about refining that plan throughout the year. So Ella's going to talk a little bit more now. You've got your plan. You planned with Compass Plus and Xello at the start of the year, perhaps. Ella's going to talk a little bit more about how you would go about refining that plan and delivering tactically throughout the year in Xello. Thanks, Ella.
Thanks. Yes, so I'm going to talk a little bit first about how you can, or a couple of ways that students can input careers activities in Xello, and then I'm going to talk about how you as a careers lead or within the careers team at your school can also input those activities. So this slide's depicting the About Me section in the product, which most of you hopefully are familiar with. Within that, there is the experiences timeline, and this is where students can log work, volunteer, education experiences that they encounter, and also reflect on those experiences. And we think that's really important because it encourages students, of course, to encourages that deeper learning and encourages them to reflect properly, but also allows you and the rest of your careers team to be able to get a much more comprehensive view of that student and support them in their career learning journey. Next slide, please, Struan. Okay, and then another section within the product that allows students to, or at least you to track students' activity, which are mapped to the benchmarks, is the lessons that we've mentioned already today as well. So these are digital activities that students go through from year 7 all the way up to year 13. They're age-appropriate content within them, and they cover a range of careers and employability topics. They can be delivered obviously in the classroom, whether that be tutor time, class time, but also accessed at home because it's fully responsive on mobile devices. So that allows you to effectively set a careers curriculum for your whole school or for different year groups, and you can make sure that students are kind of making progress towards the benchmarks that these are all mapped to. So as students complete these lessons, in the background in your educator tool, it's tracking their completion, and that's all being collated into the benchmark report, which we'll be showing you shortly. Just a word on the lessons. We get a lot of feedback on different topics that people would like us to develop, and we're always adding new content. So if you have ideas or if there's any particular careers topics you would like us to focus on, please do reach out to us. We'd love to get that feedback from you. Next slide, please. Okay, and the kind of last area I want to touch upon in terms of how students log their activities in Xello is the work-based learning module. Sits within the explore options section of the product. So within here, this is where the majority of the content sits, the careers, the university profiles, college profiles, courses, apprenticeships, etc. But also if you have work-based learning configured, it has the companies and opportunities here too. So this is the feature that allows you as careers leads or other folks in your school and the ability to add local and national employers and the opportunities they offer that are work related to students. Students can explore these and request to attend, and again, that's mapped to the benchmarks. Next slide, I think. Okay, and then in terms of how you as a careers lead can log activities in Xello, in the work-based learning admin portal, you can configure the opportunities and the employers that you publish to students, but you can also, if you prefer, mass upload students' attendance to those opportunities. And we appreciate that sometimes that's just an easier way of doing things. And of course, it makes it much more scalable for you to track students' attendance to things like careers fairs or employer insight days or whatever it may be that you're running. So that feature allows you to do that in the work-based learning portal. Next slide. And then once you've got all that lovely work going on, the students are organically adding their activities. You as a careers lead and your colleagues are mass uploading students' attendance to activities. That's all being collated in your educator tool reporting. And if you head to the report section, you'll see a Gatsby benchmark report, which you can download via CSV or Excel, and that's in a Compass Plus ready format. So once you've done that, you can upload it to Compass Plus, and we've got a short video soon, I think, which will walk you through that whole process. Back to you.
Yep, thanks, Ella. So yeah, as Ella said, we've got a video shortly. We'll show you exactly how to do that. So obviously, once you have uploaded from Xello, we'd recommend obviously that as is practical to you, that you upload that data once you've created new activities, and that you can continue obviously to plan and see where you are in achieving your benchmarks within Compass Plus. We recommend, if possible, you can do that every half term. And I say that will update. The key thing to remember here is, in terms of looking from a strategic point of view within Compass Plus, is that you can use that second drop down there to see what that predicted outcome will be the next time you completed Compass evaluation. And as a call out says there, don't forget to complete a Compass evaluation each term. That makes it absolutely sure that your data snapshot, essentially, that you're seeing when you log into your dashboard is bang up to date. So just to summarize then the process that we described. So we're suggesting that in step 1, you'll plan ahead using Compass Plus, and that as you move into the delivery phase, if Xello is the platform you're choosing to tactically deliver your activities, you're doing that and providing those uploads via the CSV data upload, and then checking your progress in step 3 every half term. Okay, so Ella very briefly described the process. We recorded a short video just showing you very briefly how you go about exporting from Xello and uploading to Compass Plus. I've done it as a video, obviously, because we are a bit short of time today, so we don't want to have to sort of tab between both open products. So this video lasts about 4 minutes or so. Hopefully, it will give you a thorough understanding about how to manage the data between the two products. But obviously, if you don't catch everything, again, it will be in the recording, and so there's lots of support about how to do this within Compass Plus and within Xello support. Okay, so I'll set the video off now. That's about 4 minutes or so.
This video is designed to demonstrate the process for students to log their experiences and interactions in Xello and how these are mapped to the Gatsby benchmarks and easily uploaded into Compass Plus. Xello is an online careers education platform that supports students to learn about themselves, explore options, and develop plans. It also helps educators and careers leaders to deliver a modern and efficient careers curriculum. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to start by showing you the About Me section in the student side of Xello. In this section, there are a variety of activities students complete to gain insight into who they are, their passions, interests, and capture things that are important to them. One of these activities is the Experiences timeline, where students can log and reflect on work, volunteer, education, and life experiences to begin to develop their own portfolio. Another key feature of Xello is the curriculum of lessons, which are age-appropriate activities from year 7 to 13, enabling students to learn a variety of educational topics that are mapped to the CDI framework, PSHE Programme of Study, and Gatsby benchmarks. Completion of lessons is tracked in the Xello Educator tool at school or trust level and added to the Gatsby benchmark report, which we will show you shortly. The final student feature in Xello to show today is the Work-Based Learning module. Xello enables you to show local, regional or national employers and partner organisations and the opportunities that they offer to students, whether that be insight talks, mentorship opportunities or work experience. You can also add in-school activities such as careers fairs or skills workshops. Educators, careers leaders or regional leads can add companies and opportunities in Xello and assign students completion of these opportunities in bulk, enabling an easy way to record students' attendance and tracking it to the Gatsby benchmarks. To do this, you will need to have WBL access enabled and under Opportunities click Requests. You can add a single student, groups of students or whole year groups. To select a whole year group, click on Select Students and filter for the relevant year group. Hit Apply and select all students. Search for the relevant opportunity on the form and change the status to completed. Once you confirm the requests, they will appear in your list and update your reports. Xello's Educator tool allows staff to manage and administer accounts, configure features and gain insights into student work at school, trust or regional level. These insights are invaluable for strategic planning and targeting provision where it is needed most. You can view individual student work to support guidance interviews or aggregated data for groups, year groups, schools or trusts. One of the reports in Xello is the Gatsby Benchmark Report, which tracks student experiences, lesson completion and work-based learning opportunities, all mapped to the benchmarks. The report can be easily downloaded by the click of a button and imported to Compass Plus, which we will cover in the next part of this video.
To upload your Xello data to Compass Plus, click on Plans, Your Plans on the Compass Plus navigation bar. Click on the upload icon, the up arrow, in the Actions column. A dialog box will pop up. Click on Select File and find the CSV file you downloaded from Xello. Confirm your file selection and you'll see a message confirming that your data upload has been successful. You will then see the activities logged in Xello appear on the Activities tab of a pupil's individual Compass Plus profile.
Okay, so hopefully that illustrated what is a relatively simple process. So within once you've delivered your activities, once they've been logged by the students within Xello, exporting data really is as easy as clicking that button within Xello, and then making sure you know where you've saved that CSV file, and then uploading it into your plan in Compass Plus. Don't worry if you didn't catch everything there. As I say, you can watch it back on the recording, and there's obviously a wealth of information within the Compass Plus knowledge base and also in Xello's support materials to help you do that. And obviously, if you have any problems there, we're happy to answer those questions if you want to reach out to us. Okay, so let's move on with our guest panelist, Andy, here today from Maidenhill School. Thanks again, Andy, for coming along today to talk about how you use Compass Plus and Xello together. And I think, Ella, you're going to chair this next part of the webinar.
Yeah, so hi, Andy. I won't introduce you again because we've already done that, but it's fantastic to have you with us this afternoon. And obviously, we really appreciate your time, given knowing how many hats you wear in the school. So if you wouldn't mind first just quickly introducing a little bit about Maidenhill School, just giving a bit of a summary of the school itself, and also how you use both Xello and Compass Plus together.
Yeah, so hi everybody. Yeah, I'm assistant head at a school called Maidenhill School. We are not part of an academy. We are a local authority maintained secondary school on the edge of the Cotswolds, just in a town called Stonehouse, which is just a little bit outside of Stroud, for people that might know the area. We're a very much a comprehensive, inclusive secondary school. Lots of grammar schools in our area, so our intake does vary. Our numbers, we're a school that's increasing in numbers, increasing in size all the time, and diversity. So our population in the community is changing all the time, and then that in the world that we're living in, that is speeding up all the time and throwing different things at us. From a careers and enterprise perspective, we're having to try and move with that all the time, and our cohorts are changing in terms of the demands that they want in terms of their own careers. We've engaged with the classic Compass that was referenced earlier, and then moved on to Compass Plus, just because everything that I try and lead on, I'm trying to improve in terms of efficiency and ease of use, and Compass Plus just is easier to use in terms of the fact that you can record things on there and it automatically tells you and references where you are in terms of the Gatsby benchmarks, which for me, in terms of trying to demonstrate impact, demonstrate evidence of what we've been doing and how that's impacting on those things that we're accountable for, it just makes that easier. We've worked with Cascade for a number of years. My predecessor before myself, predominantly with the Kudos package, which many people will have engaged with, and we've used that successfully and well. One of the things that I was critically aware of is I wanted our young people to be able to have a package where they could maintain a record of experiences and interactions with employers. That's something that they could build over their 5 years with us, because we only go up to year 11. We don't have a post 16, and something that they can take and then go on to their post 16 provider. And at that time, obviously, Cascade were launching Xello as well, so it was perfect for us. And actually a little bit more really than what we'd originally wanted in terms of that package to record things, and the ability for students to take all the good things that come out of Kudos, but also then the lessons as well, and that ability to record their experiences, their volunteering. Many of our students do DAV, so we can link in their volunteering experiences in Xello as well. So it really provided a platform that we needed and we wanted, and we've embedded Xello into our curriculum. So into our PSHE curriculum that we have as standalone lessons right through from 7 to 11. Every young person will at least complete one unit which allows them to interact with Xello during that time. The interaction between the two pieces of software is again was another added bonus for us, in the fact that we're reviewing all the time our practice and what we're doing. And again, I mentioned that word efficiency. I'm trying to not duplicate effort or do more of the same thing when actually we should be looking at the gaps within our benchmarks. And what Xello does is it captures all those curriculum interactions in terms of the lessons, and allows us to, that report allows us to capture that within Gatsby, and we know that already because we've pre-planned that, so we can see what impact that's going to have with our Gatsby. But it means it's the bit where the things that we might not necessarily find out, such as the employer interactions for Gatsby benchmark 6 and 5, where there might be times where young people have volunteered in local business, or they've carried out some work experience in their own time. I'm sure many schools that are listening at the moment struggle with work experience. We struggle with having the resource to be able to provide work experience. Certainly not in the way it was when I was at school, where there was a week-long work experience for a year group, and therefore that's our weakest benchmark marker. However, when we've introduced Xello, we've captured new information of instances where young people have sought some work experience of their own, and that's become apparent not because we've been told, but because they've recorded it on Xello, and then we've captured that as part of the report. And then that means we can look at those individuals that are taking that work experience, and then look at the ones that aren't, and try and explore the other opportunities that we've got. It also tells us where we need to divert our resource in terms of which employers we bring in, or as the world we're living in now, we provide virtually for our young people. And Xello is very good at identifying what students are looking at, and looking at our trends within post-16 providers and within careers. And then we can tailor our student interactions with different employers based on what they're searching for in Xello, and then capture that information. And then that helps us increase our employer interaction and increase our accountability with that benchmark. So I think we're probably only scratching the surface with both systems at the minute. It's something that we're growing. For us personally, we're trying to encourage young people to be interacting with it outside of the classroom, and making it something that's habitual in their everyday life, if you like, or at least on a regular basis outside of school, something they do at home. And then what we're looking to release is the parent access this year as well, which is going to have a massive impact. One of the biggest gaps that we found, and actually I think it's a national issue as well, is the knowledge that parents have, and the awareness of an up-to-date labour market information. A lot of parents are basing their knowledge on what they have, what it was like when they were younger. So by implementing Xello for parents as well, we're bringing that knowledge base, when we can't interact with them in school, that parents have got that up-to-date knowledge as well. And we're hoping that might spark some of the other things that we want our young people to, that aspiration, we want to drive that forward. So yeah, that's sort of us in a nutshell. I don't know, Ella, if there's anything else you want to specifically talk about.
I was going to then ask you, Andy, about the value that using both systems brings to your school, but I think you've perfectly articulated that already, which is amazing. So thank you. The one thing I did want to drill down on, if possible, is how you use the data to add value to your school, both in the careers department, but also more widely across the whole school strategy. Or if you don't perhaps today, because it's early days, have you got plans to use the data in a more strategic way?
Sorry, just which specific data? Because
either or, so either the Compass Plus, data that you get out of it in terms of your progress to the benchmarks, but also the reporting that you get out of Xello, or any ideas of how it can be used.
Yeah, I mean, for us, our like many schools, the career strategy is about working young people towards their intended destination. That's going to then take them towards their future career. but it's also one of the things that we're using the data for in both platforms is about how we can inspire year 7 students from the moment that they arrive. So we deliberately access Xello early for year 7, so we can start looking at the careers that they're looking at, because every year group's different. So we're trying to use the data that we get from both systems to try and inspire and raise aspirations, because we believe that if we can have that light bulb moment for young people, it's going to improve all other areas of aspect of their life. But there's a constant reference from a strategic point of view. So I will, with my careers lead, we will look at that and then use that to inform our practice. What else do we need to do, and what do we need to do different because of the gaps that we've got? And the biggest challenge is always the workplace one for the benchmark 6, and it's trying to not just accept, well, we can't do work experience in a format that gives up curriculum time, but trying to get that engagement despite that. So it's something that we review on a regular basis and then use that to update our plans and any planned activities.
Perfect. Thank you. And I'll just close it, just conscious of time and things, with a final question from me anyway, which is around, I guess, if there are people on the call today who are new to either system or are thinking about perhaps rolling ahead with one, what advice would you give to them in order to enable a successful rollout? You talked a little bit about, I guess, embedding it in a curriculum. That's one thing I picked up on for sure. Are there other things you would give as solid advice to folks?
Yeah, I think with Compass, do your evaluation on Compass Plus, know where you're starting from, and understand where your gaps are to begin with. Then look at Xello, and because it's so flexible and there's a good platform there already, it can be tailored to the needs that you've got. And then because it's such a powerful piece of software, and because it links in really well with Compass Plus, if you understand where you're coming from, but then you can also tailor the package to meet the needs of your school and help address those gaps, it's then gonna, you're starting from a really strong position.
Perfect. Thank you, Andy. Struan, did you want to add anything?
Sorry, I'm muted. Nothing else to add to that, Ella. I just would say, Andy, thank you for that brilliant insight. It's always great when we can get a careers lead from a school on our webinar sessions. And certainly one thing that we always stress at CEC is that we don't make these products in isolation. They're developed with careers leaders. At the same time, we are absolutely open for suggestions at how things could be better. And I'm sure, Ella, Cascade works in a similar way. You produce your products in a user-centric way. So if you do have any further feedback, anyone on the call today, about how we can go about improving our products, then please do reach out to us. So as I say, we're happy for you to reach out to us if you talk about your experiences of using the product and the suggestions you have. Well, there are more sort of formal channels of approaching us for different things. Ella, do you want to talk a little bit more about the Xello stuff on the left of the screen there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we mentioned it throughout as well, and I think George and my colleagues also shared the link to the support site in the chat. But the help.xello.co.uk site is there with a wealth of resources, whether that be support to help you roll the product out, whether it be videos, tutorials, training programs. We often run webinars which are live, which are put up on there as well. There are playlists for educators on YouTube. There are playlists for students to get to grips with the product. So a whole host of things on there. Always go there and you can type in questions. It will come up with answers for you. As well as that, of course, our success managers. For those that are clients, you should be familiar with who your success manager is. If not, drop us a note, help@cascade.co.uk. And there's our phone number as well. We're open business hours throughout the week. And then, of course, if you're not a customer, get in touch with us on the inquiry email or to me directly. We'd love to hear from you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ella. And support on the Compass Plus side. So firstly, if you haven't used it already and you are a user of Compass Plus, please access our knowledge base via the support widget. If you click on support within Compass Plus, a widget will pop up. you start typing in what you're looking for, it will come back with articles. Most of the articles in there are video driven. Everything's broken down in a very granular way. So if anything you get stuck on, any new area, any sort of areas that you haven't explored yet within Compass Plus that you want to know more about, have a look in the knowledge base. It's also available outside of Compass Plus at the URL there, and it's comprehensive, and you'll be able to find anything you're looking for in there. If you need more help, particularly around how you might go about addressing gaps in provision, achieving the Gatsby benchmarks, for instance, please keep in touch with your enterprise coordinator. They'll also be able to let you know what other training opportunities and what other resources are available within the CEC network. So you're able to keep in touch with that Careers Leader network around the country. And finally, if you do have any other questions, if you do get stuck at all, please contact Costas and his team at the email address there. And again, you can do that directly from Compass Plus by clicking on that support widget. If you search what you're looking for and can't find what you're looking for, it will say, "Shall we send? Do you want to send a query straight to the help desk?" And it's very easy to do that as well. So please do reach out to us.